After work, Xavier Ashford turned down several invitations and drove straight to the restaurant. It was 8 p.m., the busiest time for the restaurant. Aria Delacroix was seated at the piano, playing a soft melody. That evening she wore a smoky gray gown that draped elegantly, revealing just a hint of her shoulders. Her deep brown hair fell in silky waves down her back. She looked exquisite, exuding beauty and romance. Xavier lingered in his car for about 10 minutes, watching her through the glass before stepping out and walking inside. He ordered something simple, barely touching the food as he leaned back, letting her music fill the air. Xavier noticed several well-dressed men approaching her throughout the evening, clearly enchanted by her presence. Aria politely declined them all, maintaining her composure. During a break, a waiter handed her a business card. Ashford and Partners, Xavier Ashford, attorney at law. Aria froze for a moment, then glanced toward a corner of the room where Xavier was seated. He was holding a pre-dinner drink, looking every bit the refined gentleman. Aria had no desire to interact with him, but she knew better than to offend him. So she walked over. "Mr. Ashford." Xavier gave her a slight nod, motioning for her to sit down. As she sat, Xavier's gaze caught the faint marks on her hand, clearly from a recent fall. "Miss Delacroix, have you eaten? Join me for something small." His tone was composed, devoid of any earlier audacity. Aria placed the card on the table and responded cautiously. "The restaurant has a policy. Staff can't dine with guests during work hours." Xavier didn't even glance at the card again. "What about after work? Would you have time to grab a drink, Miss Delacroix?" His intention was clear. To Xavier, this was a simple game between adults. But Aria didn't even consider it. She didn't know why Xavier suddenly showed renewed interest in her, but she was determined to tread carefully. "Attorney Ashford, thank you for helping with my father's case. I'll find a way to repay your kindness in the future." Xavier raised an eyebrow, slightly surprised. He understood her meaning. She wasn't interested. Money didn't sway Aria. Xavier wasn't particularly invested, though her graceful piano playing had stirred something in him briefly. Smiling faintly, he tucked the card back into his pocket. "Very well. Enjoy your evening, Miss Delacroix." The tension between them remained palpable when Ethan Sinclair arrived with a teenage girl. "Xavier." Ethan greeted cheerfully, completely at ease. Ethan wasted no time. "This is my sister Harper Sinclair. She's incredibly talented in music but needs a solid piano teacher. Aria, could you take her on?" Aria flushed with embarrassment. Ethan's antics barely registered with Xavier. Calmly, Xavier pulled out a few bills from his wallet and placed them on the table. "Miss Delacroix, I have other matters to attend to. Have a pleasant evening." Out of courtesy, Aria walked him to the door. Xavier nodded politely as he got into his car and drove away, every bit the composed gentleman. There was no hint of lingering interest, just a man who knew how to exit gracefully.